All right. There, hopefully that works. My internet just chose the most inconvenient time to cut out right as I was starting. So, welcome to a very last minute episode of ElmLive. So, let me give you a quick idea of what's going on for anybody who missed Sunday or didn't watch the recordings earlier. So, basically, we were working on a simple little Elm app, which you can see right here. It's basically an image layout editor where you can drag around images in the different panels like this, and you can also resize these different panels. So in addition to that, we had built over on the right side the search component, which searches this Creative Commons image database. And I've got the code for that image search component up over here in the main screen. So I was thinking about this a bit more as the week went on, and was realizing, there was a quick refactoring I wanted to do. So I figured I would just turn on the stream tonight for anyone who wanted to tune in. Looks like we've got a couple viewers here, and do that quick refactoring. Hopefully quick. We'll see how long this takes. So, what I did for this image search component, it basically handles this right side of the screen, the search button, and all the results, all these flowers you see on the right side of the screen are coming from that. And I also set up this module to have its own main method here at the bottom, its own main value at the bottom. So we can actually go to it. Let me load that directly here in Elm Reactor. So here is just the image search component by itself without the photo editor component. And you can click the search button and see all the images load. So here is the refactoring I wanted to do. So this module, image search, exposes a bunch of stuff: the model, an init function, its internal messages, an update function, and a view function. So what I didn't like about this is that it is exposing more than it needs to. Specifically, two things. It's exposing its model, which is internal data. Outside users shouldn't need to know about this. And worse, I think, in my opinion, it's exposing all of these internal messages that it uses itself for handling HTTP responses and the internal message that gets sent when the user clicks the button inside of this component. So I wanted to see what we could do to make that stuff a bit more private, and also see if we could make a nicer API. So one result of how this works right now, our update function takes a message and a model, an image search model, and returns the new image search model and any potential commands, which the commands can produce messages. And the view also can produce internal messages. Then in our main component, our photo editor that integrates the image search, what we have to do here in our update is, first of all, whenever we get an internal message for the image search, we have to pass it through, which we'll still have to do anyway. But to get the image selected message, we have to specifically destructure the image search's own message type to get the image selected message, which is not that great because the image search's message type is kind of a mix now of things that we want to be public and things that we want to be private. So let's see if we can fix that up. I'm going to start by going to the update function and figuring out what signature I want this to have. And then once we have the type annotations that we want, we'll go ahead and fix up the implementation to match that. So what I'd like for update to do is it's going to take an internal message. Then we have model. If you watched Evan's recent video about refactoring, he liked to call this state for components that are being composed. So let's go ahead and try that out. So rather than model here, we'll call this the state of our image search component. And this can also produce commands which can result in internal messages. That's fine. But we want to make our message be private and potentially produce an image selected event. So I actually want to do this by adding to this tuple at the end. So when this update function is called, it's going to produce a new state for the image search component. It's going to potentially produce commands. Well, it will produce a command. The command might be none, but it may also be like an HTTP request that the component needs executed. And then also, I'm going to put a maybe string. Actually, why don't we call this maybe public message and define that so that it's clear what that actually means rather than just being a string. But basically, that's just going to contain the URL of the selected image. Maybe we can just call it image then. Maybe image is what we get out. And then we'll go up here and define image is a type alias image, which for now all we have is a string. Potentially you might want to return other metadata along with that, but this will be fine to show how the refactoring works. Cool. So now this will allow us to make the message type for the image search component be private. We can hide all of these subtypes, all of these subconstructors. In fact, I'll go ahead and do that now. Delete these from the exposing. And well, with that, I guess let's see what compile errors we have. So first of all, there's no type called state. Let's see, hopefully that's large enough to see. Because we renamed it, so we need to find everything else called model and rename that to be called state. Okay. Hey Mickey VIP, yes, it is an unusual hour for me to be streaming, but I'll be out at a conference all weekend, so I figured I'd try to do this right now. Let's see, so we have a type mismatch. Our update function is doesn't match. Okay, so that's actually true. So for the purpose of debugging, we are just making a little program to wrap our functions here. So now that our update function signature doesn't match exactly what a program needs, let's just make an anonymous function here and deal with that. And all we'll do is, let's do a let in here. We're gonna let, and we'll get back new model. So then this will be called old model. We're also gonna get any commands, and we may get a selected image equals our real update function, which will pass message and old model in, whoops. And then from that, we are simply going to return the new model in the command. And maybe if we wanted, we could actually, let's do that. It's kind of a shortcut for printing something that we're just going to discard. We will debug.log selected image, just so we can see that when we're debugging. All right, let's try that out. Now, my update doesn't match because we haven't updated, or we haven't changed the implementation of update to match our new type signature. So let's see. In the case of do search, and basically all we changed was we added this third term in the tuple. So we'll need to go through and do that in each case. So for do search, that's when the user clicked the button. So at this point, there's no new image selected. When there's search success, also, there's no new image selected. When there's search failure, also there's no new image selected. However, with the image selected event, this actually is our image, so we will return that out to the caller in a public way because they won't be able to destructure these internal messages anymore, so we'll pass it out through this third term in the update, this return value. And let's see, while we're at it, I'm going to change image selected here to take an image. Okay, so that seems to work here, and let me bring up the inspector and see. Yeah, whenever I click things, and actually I've got some other debugging. Let me get rid of the debugging here in the update function. Reload that. Okay, and you can see now we're printing out a selected image here in our debug program that we've made to test this out. And whenever I pick an image, it returns the URL for that image in a nice little record structure. Great. So actually that's the refactoring I wanted to do. Oh, we've got to do a couple other things. We want to make the state and the message be private types rather than type aliases. Actually, I guess we've already done that for message. We are no longer exposing any of the constructor tags. So these are all private now. I do want to make state private though. So rather than a type alias to a record type, we'll make this a brand new type, and the constructor tag by convention is just called state as well, and that has a record inside it. That'll give us some compile errors. Specifically, init needs to return now a state of the record. It's not simply a record anymore. And our view function, it says doesn't match. I guess we should rename this to be called state. And also now we need to destructure it and say state the tag and destructure the state record out of it. And then finally in our update function, we've got the same thing. First, let me rename the word model to be called state. And then we will destructure the constructor tag and get the record out of it so we can access it in our function. That is not quite going to be enough, because now when we return our state, we have to basically rebox it up inside of this tag. So I'll stick that all in here. So it's a bit of extra boilerplate, I think, to hide those things, but in this case, I think it'll be nice to have this be a reusable component. And in any case, I wanted to demonstrate how to do that. So here is our component. It seems to be working. So I think the refactoring of the ImageSearch module is done. All we have left to do is go back to our main module for our photo editor and fix it up to work with the new API for the image search. So here we go. Cannot find ImageSearch.model. And, oh, okay, there's a question in the chat of how to find Evan's video on refactoring. Good question. Let's see if we can find it. One place to look his Twitter. Let's see. What is his Twitter handle? So he tweeted about it fairly recently. Oh, actually, I retweeted that. So here it is. Let me grab the link.
Okay.
And I am going to stick this in the notes. Ooh, okay, if you can see that. There we go. Okay, so you should see that in the right side of my screen if you want to watch that. And I'll also link it in the description when I post this video up on YouTube. All right, so back to our compile error messages here in our photo editor. So first of all, we can't find ImageSearch.model. That's because we renamed it to ImageSearch.state. So let's find all these. Oh, that's the only place I referred to it. Great. Okay, and now we are to the main part of the refactoring, where we're not allowed to destructure this message anymore. So this whole case is going to go away, and instead everything will be under this case. So we get our child message. Now update, instead of returning a tuple of 2, what is that called, a duple? Now it returns a truple. So from this truple we potentially get the selected image. So let's get this to compile first. Okay, oh, that was fast. Compiles. So here's what we want to do. If we have a newly selected image, we basically want to update our model in the way that we used to when we got the image selected, or when we spied on the image selected event. I'm going to grab this code, cut that out, delete it, and we will say new model will equal a case of selected image, or case select image of, and if we have just new image, then we're going to run this code, and this is basically just calling a function that we wrote with a path to a nested frame, which if you want more details of that, go back and watch, I think maybe part 2, or probably parts 2 and part 3 of the drag and drop that I recorded on Sunday. And then we're going to pass the URL from the new image and have it update our frame. And if we don't get a new selected image, we'll just return our model. And then down here, we're going to take our new model and then also update the image search component to store the new child state. Let's rename this also from model to state. And let's see if I did that all right. Okay. So I think we've refactored. Let's give it a shot here. I can still search, and if I pick this image, it replaces it in here. So I think that all looks good. Yeah. Cool. So that is the successful refactoring. Let me go ahead and update the text on the screen. So there's the link to today's code. I'll be pushing this up in a few minutes. And whew, that's all for tonight. yeah, so thanks for watching. If you did watch, I guess you're watching now if you're watching. I'll be out of town this weekend, so no new ElmLive on Sunday, but I will probably on Friday be posting a video about my streaming setup. And if you are interested in trying to do some streaming or recording of your own programming, I will have that up on Friday to help you out and get set up if you are interested in doing that. So that's it. Yeah, those of you in chat, I'll be online for a few more minutes if you want to ask any questions. But if not, I will see you all in a few weeks. Thanks.